This is a nice one. Can I start talking before I bite it?
Like, oh my god, I haven't had a peach in so long. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, I picked it. And I can just go whenever?
I would say my, like, greatest love, like, story probably started in, like, the beginning of high school.
I drove like 3 hours down to the shore just to like hang out with him and just see if, if we could actually click in person. We just laughed the whole time. We got really high. And we went down to, I remember just looking into like the wonky mirrors, just laughing with him because of how silly we looked. And especially just with like our own self-confidence issues.
And I had been with my boyfriend for 9 months, and I had just talked about how terrible it was for weeks and didn't know this gap that I felt and like this loss of something. I ended up like holding hands with my best friend and being like, there's something about her that feels this feeling that I have no idea where it came from or what started it or what the answer even is that I'm looking for. But it was in that moment that I was like, I really love her. It was just trying to figure out how am I going to be with her in front of the world.
All of this was like very new to us. We are both like first actual like boyfriends. So initially it started off very well, just like having that kind of emotional connection. But it got very hard when it came to like the jealousy of putting myself first rather than putting him first all the time. Is this normal? Like, is this something that I'm just being ignorant about, or?
But I was so young, I was so wrapped up in so many different things that it kind of started to just like go sour. And it wasn't in the way where like everything changed and like I was over it or I was bored. It was just like I was so in love that it consumed me. And it began like crossing the lines of like emotional abuse in a way. And like how do you live in that when it's the person that you love the most?
I remember we were walking across the city and he was just accusing me of like, oh, you're gonna leave me, I'm not good enough for you, I'm never gonna be good enough for you. I just remember breaking down and just yelling, like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just like broke down because I was like, I have tried everything, every single option that I could possibly exhaust to make him realize that none of his insecure thoughts were true.
Well, I don't think I stayed in it because I was weak. Like, I really think that I didn't really stay in it. I wasn't being stagnant. There wasn't any intent behind it. It was more so just like, what else was I going to do? Because I was already in it and I was so consumed by it. I just wanted everything. Like, I just wanted her. Like, I just wanted her, and I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to not feel like I was being alienated for who I loved. It ended up just like, it ended up just crumbling.
You don't actually get to step out and see like, oh, we stopped growing like at this point, and from on it's just been like trying to repair something that wasn't going to get repaired unless we both were able to process our own, I can only try so hard, and I can only put so much energy into this without any positive outcome coming out of it.
I remember being home and waking up and being like, I'm going to run into her today. Like, I know I'm going to see her. And I went, and, I'm getting coffee before, like, the service and just, like, reconnecting with people that I hadn't seen in months from being in Philly. And I, like, looked over, and she was there. And it was the first time I had seen her in like almost 6 months. And it had been almost a year since everything had kind of like crumbled.
It was very emotionally exhausting, but I don't think I would change anything about it because it's helped me become a lot more emotionally stable and a lot more understanding on how others should be treated in that sort of respect.
It's also like a time capsule of like things I can look back on and be like, these are all of the little things that have brought me to where I am now, but without it negatively affecting me as much. There's still traces, but I can grow from it now. Was it worth it? I don't think it's ever worth losing parts of yourself. But it's a hell of a good story. and I also think that to say that you have loved somebody that much, I don't know. It's hard. I'm like trying, I don't know. I think in a sense it was. I think it was worth it because if I hadn't gone through that, I definitely wouldn't know like certain parts of myself. Yeah. So I think that it was worth it because I had to let a lot of parts of myself die. In the sense that even though it was so painful, I knew what I was capable of. What I was capable of giving someone, coming out on the other side of it, it was definitely worth it in a sense. But it, like, would I do it again? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, I think in a sense